All right, looks like it's about that time. Welcome everyone. Yusef, Bahaba. I think I'm saying that correctly in Turkish. Anna, welcome. Kaktila. And I don't think anyone is from Italy here, but benvenuti sul mio canale. Buongiorno. So that's about it. I know I'm way more comfortable in English, so why don't I speak in English for the rest of the time? Welcome. If you are new here, don't forget to click that subscribe button. We do it every day. While my state is in quarantine, which looks like it will be until May 31st at least, I'll go live every day, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times, but basically to take your questions about English. And this morning I was working on getting a new video together, and I think it's going to be 9 questions an American was asked by his subscribers or something like that. Basically, Naima gave a couple questions that I will answer. Nori gave a few questions, excuse me, and one of Naima's questions was coffee. Is it that big of a deal in the United States? Is it very important? And I go outside of a Dunkin' Donuts, talk about that for a little bit. I'll show some enormous mugs, some coffee mugs that we have. So I'm getting that video together. Hopefully I can release it tomorrow. So welcome everyone. Bonjour. William, welcome. Aujourd'hui, comment allez-vous aujourd'hui? Je suis bon. Je suis bien. I don't know the well and the good there. Ça va bien, merci. Just finished breakfast? Hamoud, where do you live? Breakfast? I didn't think anybody would be earlier than we are in the Americas. Is it really that early? Wow. Crazy. Well, welcome. And, oh yes, Yusef, thank you. Yeah, I hope people can discover this channel. It'll be a good thing. Sergey, how are you? Mr. Brewster? Mr. Brewer. Vierschlaf, how are you? Cecilia's here. Welcome. Dennis from Russia. Welcome, everyone. I haven't seen any questions yet. But thank you all for joining. I will mention that it is Teacher Appreciation Week in the United States. And I've received an email this morning from one of my students thanking me. I just received a video from a student thanking me. So it's very nice, very nice. But I think as teachers in the United States, we get a lot of time off in the summer. So that's what I think of appreciation, like thanking me. So I really don't need any thanks from my students, but it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear. And on Facebook yesterday, I put an email I got from a parent, and she was mad at her son because he was laughing, and he was supposed to be working on schoolwork in my class. And he said, no, this is Mr. Watson's class. I'm just laughing. So I try to have a little fun with the students. My students are 12 and 13 years old. And I don't know if you remember back to when you were 12 and 13, but most likely it's a pretty rough age. Luis, how are you? It is sunny in Turkey. It's not sunny here. It's actually, we call it overcast. Overcast, which is another way to say cloudy. It's overcast. But my son and my wife, Jamie, you might see her sometimes in here, and she and they are on a walk right now. I actually think he is biking. Yeah, I think he's biking and Jamie is walking. Yes, Ayub, Ramadan Mubarak. Virslav. He's asking what the weather is like. Yeah, try to use that. If you want to say something besides it's cloudy, you can say it's overcast. Please make a couple statements with cultivate. Ooh, but not the one related to the farm. Well, that was my first one. I was going to say cultivate. Why is that? Spamming. Um, so cultivate, the most common way is what Mary said. You would be growing crops, growing plants, cultivating. But you could also use cultivate as like teachers might cultivate their students' minds. So anything that you're growing and you're nurturing. Ace is biking. Yeah, my son's biking. Nurturing. If something needs nurturing, we might say that in terms of a baby. You know, you need to help them along. You need to really care for them. So pretty much anything that has to be cared for and can grow, we could say cultivated. So you can use that for the minds of young students. You could also use that for growing bacteria. And like scientists could cultivate bacteria, or they could cultivate viruses, or they could cultivate antiviruses to try to come up with vaccines. So cultivate is sometimes used with scientists growing things in the laboratory. Argentina, Cecilia, how are you? Naima. Naima is correct. Some of the parents, and I did get an email from a parent yesterday, and she said, I will never forget how hard teaching is. And it's a hard job, that's for sure, but I wanted to go into that job, so I don't really need any people to thank me. It's nice, but I feel a little guilty sometimes when too much thanking goes on because we're just doing our job. Healthcare workers right now, right? Doctors, nurses, bus drivers, those we have it easy. We can stay in our house right now. They cannot. We is wondering what's the difference between abroad and oversee. I might change this to a seas. I might change that to overseas. So if it's written like that, it basically, if you think about the United States, when we say overseas, it could be going over to Europe, going over to Asia, and abroad means the same thing, going away. Some people will go abroad to study. They may go overseas to study, but it just means crossing an ocean. And abroad, I don't think we would say in the United States that they are going abroad to study in Argentina simply because you don't cross the ocean. So we might say they've gone down to Argentina or they've gone down to Brazil to study. Abroad usually means wide abroad. Hope that helps. Oh, Jamie says it's sunny, and she's only maybe 10 miles from where I am. And I will talk about that in the latest video because I believe Naima asked about that. And in the United States, of course, we use miles, not kilometers, and we use pounds, not kilograms. So kind of strange. I'm not sure why. Well, I'll talk about it in the video. Oh, wow. Cecilia is saying cast is one of her favorite words in English. My gosh. I could do a whole video on the word cast. You wear a cast when you break a bone. You have a cast in a play. You have a cast in a movie. You have a cast in a musical. You cast a fishing line when you fish. Cast. Overcast. Cast a shadow over something. Cast. Man, a lot of ways to use cast. We's wondering, what does it mean, bark? All bark, no bite. You could say that, excuse me, maybe about a teacher. Or a mom, or a dad, or a dog. Comes from the dog. But let's talk about the dog first. So if a dog is all bark and no bite, it means they might be very intimidating. They might be very scary. They will bark a lot, but if you get really close to the dog, he's not going to bother you. All bark, no bite. And I know in some cultures, dogs can't have dogs. But in the United States, a lot of people have pets as dogs, or dogs as pets. But it could be maybe a dad. You get to know him. He's a really nice guy. But maybe the first impression, you think, oh, he's yelling all the time. A lot of times with people, it's they yell a lot, but they're not that mean. They're not going to hit you. That's where the bark comes in. Sometimes we call people like that, maybe if they're a softie or they're a teddy bear. Meaning, on the outside, you might think they're all gruff and mean, but they're really nice people. So all bark, no bite. That's what that means. Youssef, cultivating your own mind. That's great. So we is wondering at the end of words with the ly and the t, ly is usually an adverb. Not all the time, but a lot of times, like quickly, it's an adverb. And a lot of times I think with the ty that might be a verb. I'm not a verb, an adjective. So, but it's not, I wouldn't go by any rule with the ending, at least those two endings, because they can differ. Adverbs often end in ly, but not always. Sometimes suffixes can be helpful, like an ist at the end. You're almost always talking about a person. But with ty and ly, I would be careful about that. Yeah, Cecilia, I totally agree. Teaching is hard. I'm not going to disagree with that. And it is rewarding. Because you have 20 kids in the room, 20 children, and you have to be aware of what they are all doing at the same time. You have to be aware of who is coming in and out of the door, and you have to be teaching. Yeah, it's my brain when I leave the classroom at the end of the day, it's often pretty spent. Tired. We use spent for money when you get rid of it, but you can also use how you are just spent, or your brain is just spent, meaning it's done. You gave it all away. Maybe you'll get a good night's sleep and you'll be back the next day. Whew, it can be tough. Oh, Ayub, welcome. Yes, I remember that. And sometimes people will ask me difficult questions to write down, and I'll often say, just come to the live chat. I do it every day, and often it's much easier for me to say the answer rather than type it out. So Ayub, welcome. Yes, have some questions. Larissa, parents are really tired of distant learning. I agree, and teachers are too. Hamoud, that's a good question. Why don't I open my own school for learning English? It's a good question. But right now, teachers, we have it made. We have it made. We have it made. And we often say that when things are good, we have it made. Because I get retirement from my teaching job right now. I get insurance. It's really hard. If I were to quit my job, I would give all of that up. So I really need to keep my teaching job. Ezekiel, welcome. You might be new. If you are new, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Welcome. Asma, how are you? No way. Hamoud, you say it's snowing in Saudi Arabia. So close to the equator? Is it snowing snow or is it snowing something else? Interesting. Way up in the mountains. Way up in the mountains. I've seen that. I've seen a video on that. The elephant in the room. Oh, yes. Youssef. The elephant in the room. It's embarrassing. The elephant in the room. Let's say I lost my job. All right. I got fired. And everybody knew it. And then the first time I met with my friends, the first time after I had gotten fired, maybe everyone knows I got fired, but they don't want to say it. It's super awkward. They're like, hey, what's going on? Or if somebody gets a divorce and you see each other for the first time, hey, so how's life? But the elephant is in the room is that big problem that you should really talk about. The elephant in the room. It's like that problem is in the corner, just kind of sitting there, and people don't know how to say or how to bring up that problem. It can be very awkward. The elephant in the room. Oh, Luis. Oh. Yeah, it's rare here that students will give cards, but a lot of times the parents do. The parents might, if we were in school now, they might give us breakfast one morning. They might give us a nice lunch. We might get a gift card to Dunkin' Donuts, like a coffee place. Yeah, Teacher Appreciation Week. It's not, I would say out of my 70 students, 5 might do something nice for me. Uh-oh. Sharef. Oh. This word. Magnanimous. Magnanimous. Is that word magnanimous used often? No, it's definitely not used often. What is magnanimous? It's big, isn't it? We don't use that word very often. Magnanimous. No, Sharef, we don't. If you can use it, great. But magnanimous, it's big, isn't it? Something grand, something very big. So to be honest, we don't use it that often, but you might say it's eventful, it's famous. If something is eventful, it's worth knowing. Eventful. Yeah, they might go down to Argentina to study. Yeah, because we're up here and Argentina's down. Do you say they went up to the United States to study? All right, William, need to drink. I have my water right here. Right here. It's pretty good. Matteo, how are you? Buongiorno. Buongiorno. Oh no, Ezekiel. I don't know what that means. Mayor? Mayor? With an M-E-R-E? I don't know, my friend. Mir. Okay, maybe. Mere often means, okay, mere, we don't use it very often. Mere often means just. Okay, let's see, how can I use it in a sentence? We sometimes say merely too, merely. And a synonym is just. Anytime you use just, I think you can use mere. So I might say, oh, it's merely raining. Merely, it's just raining, merely. What am I thinking? Oh, it's a mere, yeah, use only or just with mere. I'm trying to think of what. Let's say you had an expensive item. Okay, what could be maybe a medical bill. All right, maybe you think it's going to be really expensive. And my playback is slow. I hope it's not slow for you. And maybe you think it's going to be $1,000. And the doctor may say, no, it's a mere $100. So just or only mere. Sorry about that. Threw me off for a second. The capital letters. I thought, is that an acronym? But no, I think that's it. Cast a spell. A shref. Exactly. So many things for cast. Should I make a video on cast? I don't know if it would be that popular. Cast. Azot. Whoa. There are quite a few here. But I think this is a pretty easy question because they're basically the same. Bother and disturb, synonyms. I don't want to bother you right now. I don't want to disturb you right now, but your car is on fire. I don't know why I thought of that, but you definitely want to disturb that person. Go put the fire out in your car. I actually had a friend back in high school. His car literally caught on fire. And we were at a party. And it was daylight. And nobody was even in it. It's Everett, Jamie, if you're watching, Everett. His car caught on fire. Okay, so this is not so easy. Offend, abuse, mistreat. Sometimes they can be super close, but abuse and mistreat are synonyms. But offend is not physical. Offending is not physical, but you might hurt somebody's feelings. When we say offend, you hurt their feelings. The other two, abuse and mistreat, it could be physical. Not always. Oh dear. Oh, Luis. Yeah. So, excuse me, that's the second day in a row that I've gotten that question. I think it's from two different people too, Luis. I don't think you asked that. But that would be a good video, right? With all of those little marks. You got your semicolons, your parentheses, your colons. I should do that. I can do a real quick one right here. The text is pretty much anything that is red. So it could be a page, it could be a paragraph, most likely not a word, but text is usually a paragraph or more of writing. But the other ones, yeah, when do we use parentheses? I can't do that. I think you even have a hyphen in there. Yeah, but that is a video question. Great question. You think people would watch that? And I talked about the semicolon yesterday. That one's not too bad, but Aroni is here. Benvenuto. And if I I never skip a question. I might miss it. And I'm sorry if I do, but simply ask it again. And I will get to it. A shref. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Mere, a small, unimportant amount. It absolutely could be. Oh, Mary, you had the question yesterday, right? About the semicolon. It's a good one. Luis, I would agree. I bet Mary reads a lot, which is why she is so good at English. A lot of people are hard workers. This is Teacher Appreciation Week, but this should be Student Appreciation Day. I appreciate so many of you coming every day. And I know you work really hard to learn English. So, Judith, welcome. I sure can. There are some characters that I think might be Chinese, though. I'm sorry that I can't pronounce your name, but I can answer your question. Can you teach me how to pronounce happened to me? Happened to me. All right, so most of the time I think you would say it happened to me. Yes, it's the second one. Always say that. Happened to me. Happened to me. Hope that helps. Judith is wondering, no, Esol, I don't know that. I don't know that. The Esol. But as I continue with this YouTube channel, I think it is important for me to learn some of the tests that you might be taking as English learners. Remember, my teaching career, the 20 years, has been with native English students. So therefore, I don't know if Rafael is in here, but he'll like that. So therefore, I am not as familiar with those tests, but I plan to become familiar because I think that will help you out. Grammar question, Sergey. Now, I do teach active voice and passive voice to my students. But let me see this question here. I have a grammar question about passive voice. There's two sentences. The window was broken. The window got broken. That's a good question, Sergey. I could see how both of those would work. Some people don't like using got. I don't have a problem with it. In your formal writing, you might want to stay away from got, but both of those will work. Right. And if you wanted to change it, you could actually say who broke the window, if you knew who broke the window. One, ed, verbs that end with ed. If you are a writer, verbs that end in ed, past tense, often have more of an impact on the reader than present tense. There are a lot of books that are written, fiction, books that are written in present tense, but when I write fiction, I like to write in past tense, because if you think about it, the verbs without a helping verb like was, like the window was broken, okay? Window was broken. Or the window broke. Like there's a harder accent on those past tense verbs without helping verbs. So just something to keep in mind if you do write fiction, you might want to use those past tense verbs without helping verbs as much as possible. All right, Larissa. Oh gosh. Ooh, that's a tough one, Larissa. Maybe Cecilia can help me out on this one. Neither, I'm almost sure. This is one of those I'm 90% sure of. When you have neither, you can always assume that one is at the end of that. So it becomes singular. Neither is. I am almost sure. Maybe somebody can look that up. Neither is. Even though you have neither of the two brothers, don't let that fool you, because of the two brothers, is a prepositional phrase. So that does not count as part of your subject. Brothers is not going to determine the verb. It's the neither. I just don't remember. I think it's neither one. John Bailey, native English speaker from California. What is going on? Maybe John can chime in. John is also learning Italian. So, buongiorno, ciao, salve. All right, Larissa. Whew, sweating a little bit. That's a tough one right there. And it's one that I should know. I should know that. Of course, Youssef, this is a good one right here. Take for granted. We say this often. Take for granted. This is too long to type, but sometimes we say, you don't know what you have until it's gone. You don't know what you have until it's gone. So if you take something for granted, you almost abuse it. That's come up before here. Abuse. You almost abuse it. So let's say Jamie, my wife. She's great, right? Of course. Some of you have met her on here, right? She's great. But if I always just kind of take advantage, like maybe I never tell her when I'm going to be home. Or maybe when she does something nice for me, I don't thank her. Maybe she cooked a nice dinner and I don't thank her. I mean, I can't imagine doing that. But I just, and she asks, oh, how's the food? That's good. Good. I don't take care of my dishes. And I'm just taking her for granted. I don't appreciate her. A lot of times before the coronavirus, maybe we took it for granted that we could just walk into a store and buy whatever we wanted for groceries. Now it gets a little bit tougher. We didn't know how easy we had it. We took it for granted. I hope that helps. That's a great phrase to know. Take for granted. John Bailey, what is going on? Oh, Marion is wondering, what's the difference between dough and batter? Marion, great question. Right. Batter is almost always used with like cake. Things like that, batter, brownies. Dough is mostly used with bread. Okay? That's how we can break that down. And last night, Jamie and I were brainstorming. We were coming up with what video should we do together next. What did we come up with? We came up with Southern slang again. We could do that. Or trying American snacks. We were thinking about doing that. So some might involve batter and dough. Just going into the store. Really only one of us can go. So we may wait until the coronavirus is gone, but we would like to pick out some snacks for you or some candy bars. We were looking last night online. There was like a Kit Kat mint cookie dough. And we were thinking, I bet not everybody has that around the world. And we could grab that and try that for you. So we're thinking about those kind of videos. Mateo, thank you. He's nailed what magnanimous is. Magnanimous. Oh, azot. Good question. What's the difference between out and outward, in and inward? A lot of times when you are talking about the wards one, the outward, not all the time, but a lot of time, you're talking about yourself. So if you look inward, then you are going to be evaluating yourself. Am I a good person? Have I been taking advantage of my friends? Have I been taking advantage of my family? When you look inward, that's how we use it often. And outward, and I wouldn't say that you could use out and outward as synonyms, but see, I don't use outward often. Maybe you are, that's more outreach. I was going to say, if you are a business and you want to become connected more to the community, if you want to give back, you could be looking outward, but you might call that outreach. If you're looking to maybe donate some money to a food bank, but you're a business, you could call that outreach. So like making good publicity for you, making your own good press, making some good articles in the newspaper for yourself. So outward, you might be looking outward to the horizon, like off in the distance. So tough one there. Oh, what's the difference between will and is going to be? Nothing, really. Nothing. Just like was and got. We use those interchangeably. Like, it will be raining tomorrow. It is going to be raining tomorrow. They're basically the same thing. It's a good question. I know that can be confusing, but. Whoa. Sylvia, welcome back. How do you say me too in the plural form? Us too. Well, you could say us too. But it is awkward. You like, we could say us too though. I'm trying to think of if Jamie and I were with another couple and somebody said, oh, I really want to go to Turkey. You could say, oh, us too. Or we do too. We do too. We do too. Us too is, I see what you're saying with awkward, but we do too. That might be better. So do we. We might change it to that, depending on what was said. Us too. So do we. It's a good question. Good question. Phil. Phil. I remember what you said about him yesterday. Yeah, we often say that too. And when we go down to Alabama, Jamie and I will visit. We say the direction down to Alabama, or we go up to Canada. Yeah, we say that. Yeah, Ayub, it's very hard for me to answer that as a native, English speaker in the United States. I think it's somewhat different. Yes, I think it's somewhat different. But so much of it is the same that I've always known that British English for people in the United States isn't so bad to learn. But I can see where if you're learning English, because when I listen to people speak in England, maybe in a 5-minute conversation, there might be one or two different words, but I can see how the accent might throw people off. And I've said before, the Irish accent, though, gives me some trouble. The Irish accent. Speaking of accents, Cecilia put on the Facebook group last night, they had the sexiest American accents. And Maine, where I'm from, came in fourth. But I've done I've hard work on getting rid of my Maine accent because to me, sometimes it sounds uneducated. But, what's the meaning of troll? So I'm not sure, Ozma, but I do know troll. When we talk about trolls, that's slang, and I use it all the time in here. If someone is trolling you, They're just trying to get a reaction from you. Vitali, excuse me, Vitali, I thought was trolling me one day because he asked a really complicated question with like a really big word, and I still don't know if he was trolling me. But from what I know about Vitali, he might have been trolling me. Just giving me a hard time in a joking way. But sometimes trolls are just on the internet to stir up problems, just to create controversy. I hope that's what your question was. Okay. Somebody keeps spamming though. Somebody keeps spamming in here. And oh, I see Jamie says the bugs are starting to come out. We have a couple weeks in Maine, only a couple weeks, where the weather is nice, but there are no bugs, like mosquitoes and flies. But if anybody saw the very early video I made in spring, there was actually a bee really, really early in spring, which was kind of weird. All right. I'm sorry. I'm really behind in the chat. I'm sorry. Mary has something here. For almost 12 years in school, we were taught a foreign language, English. That has nothing to do with this quality of English. I mean, the whole English teachers teaching YouTube. And I've talked about that. I know in American schools, I don't think we do a very good job of teaching English. And I've gone into the reasons why. If somebody would like to hear that again, I will talk about it. But I've said it before, so I don't want to bore anybody who watches often. Rafael, it's a good question. No, here's a big difference. All right, I will meet you in. I don't know if I would actually say weekish. The problem with weekish, people might confuse it with this, as in somebody who is weak, not strong. So you could say, I will meet you in roughly a week. I'll meet you in roughly a week. I'll meet you in about a week. So for that, just because of the confusion with the not strong thing, I would stay away from weakish. Because they might not hear you right. What, you don't think I'm that strong? Maybe they'll bow up on you. We've talked about that. Bow up. Try to fight you, Rafael. I don't want you to get into any fights. So just say, I'll meet you in roughly a week. I'll meet you in about a week. Okay, we'll try to keep you safe, Rafael. Although I know you can handle yourself, but try to keep you safe. Hey Brent, is it okay that some questions are repeated here? Igor from Ukraine, long time viewer, welcome. And the channel's only been around for three and a half months, but he was one of the first. Welcome, Igor. Is it okay that some of the questions may be repeated here? Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, yeah, Igor nailed it. You can't be here every single day like I can. You know, other people have lives. And of course, these live streams happen when it's convenient for me. So even if a question has been asked every single day, it might be helpful to others. You hear the question a couple times, you'll know it that much better. So no, of course. Igor, yeah, you nailed it. Nailed it. Ask away. Oh, Cecilia, thank you. Show Me is a great... It's not free though. That's the only problem. Show Me is a great application that I've used for years, but it cost me like $13 a month. So I no longer have a Show Me subscription. It's great, but I will do most of my videos on YouTube now for my students. Excuse me. Ayub. I think this is a great question right here. Many say that British English is somewhat different, but I tend to use British. Yeah, okay, so the question is, will it affect the language of the United States? I think most test makers are British. So if you are trying to pass any kind of test, to be qualified as B1 or B2, probably is British English, but I don't think it will affect you one bit. Not one bit. Because people in the United States understand the few differences with British English. And I think the same is true in England because there's so much American TV and American movies. I don't think it'll be a big deal. Sergey, 36 views and only 11 likes. What's that for? Is it for this live stream right now? Azat is wondering, do we often use the words... I think it's circumstance, right? Circumstance and consequences. Yeah, we do often use circumstances and we often use consequences. So let's talk about circum. This is a good verb, a good root word to know. Circum. It means around. Okay, circum. So you could talk about the circumference of a circle, the distance around. We also talk about circumcision. A lot of male babies in the United States get circumcisions, and it is cut around the parts that only boys have. So circumstances are the how can I use it? Is the situation that surrounds the incident. So if there was a fight at my school, we might ask, okay, so what were the circumstances? We know there was a fight, but what happened before the fight that caused it? Circumstances. Maybe there is a murder. Hopefully not. Maybe there's a murder. So okay, so what were the circumstances? Was it self-defense? Were they attacked and they were just trying to defend themselves? So circumstances we use often. And then consequences. So let's talk about that fight. That is because of your actions. It's usually a punishment, right? What happens as a result of your action? Those are the consequences. So maybe jail, right? For murder, if it's not self-defense. So we use those often, and they're fairly big words there. Azot, set on fire and catch on fire. So let's take those two differences right there. What was the other one? To be on fire? Well, to be on fire, it just means it's burning. But the other two, set on fire, that means somebody wanted it to burn. Like they deliberately, on purpose, set it on fire. Was not a mistake. To catch on fire, it implies more of an accident. Like maybe lightning struck and the wind was blowing and it caught on fire. It's nobody's fault. But if you say set on fire, it was done on purpose. Good question. Whoa. Shref. My gosh, these are some big words here for English learners. Wow. The synonyms of magnanimous is noble, or generous. But in the phrase, it's read like courageous. Wow. And oftentimes when we capitalize that Nobel, it's for that, we say it differently, Nobel, as in like the prize that's given out in, is it Norway or Sweden once a year? Sometimes a Nobel Peace Prize, Nobel Prize for Literature. Mary is saying, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, Ayub. Yeah, with British English and American English, again, my opinion, not a lot. Sometimes we spell certain words differently, but sometimes it's just adding a, like for color, I think they spell it like, we spell things a little bit differently. I know there's always that option to say either American English for your language or British English, but there really isn't a whole lot of difference. Couple phrases here or there, slang will be different. Just by definition, slang doesn't last too long. But oh my gosh, I can't pronounce thirsty. Thirsty. And I think in English, depending on what language you speak, I think the is hard. If you just put your tongue between your teeth, practice that. Try not to spit all over the place. And then V's, like a very, very is tough for some Scandinavian speakers. I'm sure there's nobody here from Sweden or, Denmark or Norway. I don't know how they do it, but it seems that they just learn English like at a really young age in Sweden. And I think when only 5 million people speak your language, you have to learn another one in English. But my friend, the exchange student from Finland, his V's were very tough for him to say. V. Not much difference, between like a fashionable or stylish. We might say that Milano, is a very fashionable city. It's a very stylish city. My town is not known for having a lot of style. I can get away with walking into a store with a hoodie. Probably couldn't do that in Milan, right? A lot of people at Walmart in my town, they'll just wear their pajamas to the store. Not very stylish. Yeah. Whoa. 743. Welcome. You might be new. If you are, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We do this thing every day, about an hour, where I answer questions. But that's exactly right. Though is just, and I think people learning English use it more often than some of the native speakers, that I speak or text with. But though, it's just a short form of though. Oh, Zabeda, you don't want to know, Zabeda. Yes, I have had students that don't mind their manners, and man, I can be your best friend, which I am oftentimes, but there are a couple times, the beginning of the year, I have to let a student in class know that I'm not going to put up with them not minding their manners. It's not fair to the other students in the class that want to learn. So I'll lose my temper. I'll raise my voice. But my bark is always worse than my bite. But yeah, usually I treat my students with extreme respect. And they mostly respect me as well. It works both ways. But sometimes people have to realize I'm not messing around. Like, let me do my job, please, and let students learn in here. So, Denise, welcome from Brazil. Ah, I sound like Morgan Freeman. I will take that as a compliment. Nice. Love Morgan Freeman. He is known to have a really good voice in the United States. I'm really far behind. Sorry about that. Cecilia. So I talked about this a long time ago, but thank you, Cecilia. Neither, right? Can we say that? Neither is always singular. Neither. Just think of it as neither one. Neither one. Even if the one is not there, put it in. Will help. All right. Lucian, rolling in dough. That means you have a lot of money. Dough is often slang for money. Rolling in dough. Got tons of money. Sylvia. Let's see. I thought batter is for crepes and pancakes. Yes. Yep. It's a great point. If I was making pancakes, I would definitely say batter in crepes. Yeah, so maybe it is. Yeah, more liquidy. More liquidy. Dough. Yeah. And I guess technically pancakes are bread. So yeah. I am going to skip down because I will be leaving in about 5 minutes. But I'll start working my way back up. Fabio, is this Portuguese? I guess so. But that looks a lot like Italian. A lot. Larissa is asking, are there many teachers who are male in U.S. schools? So the younger a student is, the less likely they will have a male as a teacher. So really young children, elementary school. I've talked about elementary school before. Most of the teachers there are women. But in the school that I teach at, middle school and high school, it's right around 50-50. Right around 50-50. Half women, half men. Maybe a few more women, maybe, but not many. So, no, I don't use, no, Walmart is not a verb. Always a noun, Walmart. Yep. Judith. Yeah, that makes sense. Since English is a Germanic language, although I think it straddles. I think it straddles the Romance language and the Germanic language. When I see things written in Spanish, things written in German, I tend to understand more of the Spanish. There are more, we call them cognates, more words that look alike. But yeah, Jude. And I think also when you're living in Denmark, and I think they have 5 million people, if you want any kind of outside entertainment, if you want to talk with the outside world, you need to find another language. And in this part of the world, the Western part of the world, I think English is kind of that go-to language. All right. Looking for another question. Oh, is there a difference? Is it Vladimir? Vladimir? Is there a difference between defend and protect? No. I would say no, not at all. Not at all. No. Defend, might be used more for an army, and then you wouldn't. But no, they're pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. Sergey. Another one. Consequences and repercussions, same thing. Based on your actions, they are pretty much punishments, right? The repercussions or repercussions, both ways can be said. Repercussions, consequences. Swami, welcome. In what sentence the word super means an unnecessary person. Super. Swami, I'm not sure. Super means an unnecessary person. I think you're new here. I really want to try to answer your question so you won't think I'm a complete fake. But I can't give any examples of that. Super unnecessary. I don't know. Right now, you will hear a lot of talk about essential people. And that means very necessary. Essential workers. Those are doctors, nurses, bus drivers. Teachers are not really essential workers now. People stocking the grocery shelves, essential workers. I'm sorry I couldn't answer that question there. Larissa, a great deal, an uncountable noun? No, we could say, well, sometimes you could say, there's a great deal of stress in my life right now. And of course, that would be uncountable, but maybe, actually. Do we always use it with uncountable nouns? There's a great deal of, I see a bee out in the grass right now. I could say there are a great deal of bees in my yard right now. That's not true. So I guess you could count them. Maybe it's when you just don't really care about the number. It's just letting somebody know that there's a lot. So I hope that helps. Brent. Ooh, Mary. It's a great question. I'm going to change it just a bit, okay? I'm going to change it just a bit right here. So we say shoot the breeze. When you're saying shoot the breeze, you are meaning you're just talking with another person and you don't have an agenda. You're just talking about anything. It's a very relaxed conversation just to shoot the breeze. Maybe you haven't seen a friend in a while and you see each other and you're just like, what do you want to do? Let's just shoot the breeze. Meaning, let's not really worry about what to talk about. We're just going to talk. Shoot the breeze. Fabio, you're an English teacher and a Spanish one too. Fabio, I didn't know that. You're English teacher. You're in Brazil right now, right? That's awesome. Yeah, the Brazilian accent is very cool. Judith. Oh, 200. You were on the first 200 people? Judith, thank you for your continued support. Thank you so much. Azat is wondering, do I live in Portland, Maine? I don't live in Portland, Maine. Jamie teaches really close to Portland. We do miles, of course, here. It's about 30 miles from my house, Portland. But it's definitely the biggest city. I could get to Portland in a half an hour if I needed to. Yeah, where I took a picture yesterday, put on Facebook about you ordered a whole large pizza and they gave you a free roll of toilet paper at this gas station. And that was really close to Portland. It was in a little town called Cumberland. And it's, I think, the next town over from Portland. So yesterday I was really close to Portland. All right. A couple more and then we'll be going. Yeah, the Portuguese language is really interesting. Oh, a shref. Oh, shref. If you haven't gotten a partner to help you with life, maybe you should try. I didn't know about that. What is it called? What's it called? Lingby. All right, let me write that down. Lingby. I'll check it out. Lingby. I have been using Hello Talk for about the last year, and that's fun too, where we kind of just shoot the breeze on there with a couple. And of course, in my Italian, I can't discuss anything that deep yet. Oh, the bugs come out. Talk about some spammers. Oops. We don't use that. Bugs and spammers. Bugs, though, we use bugs for computers when we talk about how things aren't working. We might say we have to get the bugs out. The bugs out. If we're talking about the computer, maybe there's some lag. And if you're a gamer, you might know that word, lag, when things are slow. You might say it's because of some bugs. Fabio, the Brazilian accent is the sexiest. Outward appearance, thank you. Fabio, for teaching English and Spanish. All right, Eleonora, how are you? Wilson, welcome. I know Wilson from Hello Talk. How can I say sales and sales? I don't know. Sales can be a tricky word. I'm going to change the spelling of one of them. So of course we have sales, and can be a pair of homophones there. Sales might have something to do with selling, or sales might have something to do with a boat that catches wind and pushes the boat forward. So but they're pronounced the exact same way. Sales and sales. Jamie. All right. I think I got to everything. Didn't I? Did I? Any last minute? Oh, William, thank you. All right. Yeah, we've taught, and I've forgotten. Cecilia helped me out with that one. With a number, and I've forgotten it though. I've forgotten the answer. All right, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Aroni, nicely done with pick your brain. Good one right there. All right, first responders. William, and when we talk about first responders, we are talking about anybody who might show up if there's an accident. The first people who are there. So we're talking about our police officers, talking about our ambulance drivers, and our firefighters. So huge props. We say that. Huge props. Big thanks for them. And they're just amazing people. Amazing people. Walmart is a store. Yes. All right. I hope all of your questions were answered. Thank you so much for joining. We will do it again tomorrow. About this time. And we have to, Naima, thank you. Thank you for your questions too. I'll be working on that this afternoon. Some good questions there. I've written it down, I believe. I have it written down somewhere. Might be upstairs now. But Nori and Naima have a lot of questions. I'm going to base the whole video on those. I think it was 9 questions total. So thank you guys. I think that's it. Bob the Canadian will be going at some point tomorrow. So I'll try to go right after him. I don't know if Mary is in here. Luis is sometimes in there. We is in there. So we'll go right after him. But maybe I'll do, and who knows, maybe I'll do, Jamie is working tonight. So maybe I'll do another live. It'll be late for anybody living in Europe or parts of Asia. But thank you guys. Always a fun time. Thank you, Rafael. Thank you, Sergey, sorry. Yeah, it's a tricky language, but it's all good. Thank you guys, and I will see you tomorrow, maybe later today. I don't know. Tomorrow, later today. Thank you guys.